Hi everyone, today is March 23rd and it's our second attempt to show you beauty of the black color. Today is a little bit icky situation. George and I thought that we are superhumans and we had the second dose of our vaccine yesterday and today we are icky and so it's we will try to be as professional as possible today. And we are really excited about this session today because we are talking today about the pigment, what has probably the longest history in human lives. So wood charcoal, oil soot, charred animal bones were used in the earliest cave paintings. Today we have a lot of black colors, but many of you are actually stay away from blacks, and so today we hope to change that situation. And so we will talk about why did it happen in history, why a lot of artists are still don't use black, and hopefully you're at least looking at we have today 6 different colors. And so before we go to the video, so it will be like always. So George is assisting me behind the camera. We have the recorded video, so then we will show that and we will talk about all blacks, how they behave. And so you can ask the questions like always in chat and we will immediately answer. After video, we will I will show you a couple swatches what was were done after, and so then at least if something was not visible on video, so then you will see on real swatches here. Just a reminder, so tomorrow, March 24th, George will have another session here. Now this time it will be on Facebook, it will not be on Zoom, and it will be about oiling out, and please don't forget that. And on April 14th we will have art materials advisor, and it will be about unknown ceracolors. It's about waterborne wax paint. Let's start it. So in our range of Rublev colors, we have 6 colors. So what we will show you now, this will be on from left to right, or on your case from right to left. So this is first will be Castle Earth. And the first row we will mix with lead white. So I was trying to mix as possible 50-50. So then you can see how it's tinting. So Castle Earth is natural manganese brown color, and so it's not as apparent right now, but later when we will mix all colors together, so then you will see that it's quite transparent. The next one is Roman black, and specifically we wanted to show you the behavior of the every each of that colors. So Roman black is natural black oxide, and although for natural black oxide we don't have specific identification number. So, but here's we write as PBK 11.
That's because it's actually a mixture of minerals. It's a natural mineral, so there's actually a lot of different minerals involved, not just black oxide, but there's manganese. There's some carbon in there. So you can see it gives a fairly neutral tint in lead.
All of our colors inorganic colors, and so that is German wine black. And although it's you will see then it's actually a little bit more powerful than the next one, which is Bond black, but here I put specifically by temperature. So then German wine black is slightly warmer than Bond black, although Bond black you will see more transparent.
Of course, bone black is, I don't know, did you mention that? It's animal bone char?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
So this is our Bond black. And if it's not as apparent here, of course, the next row I will mix with titanium white. And there where you will see specifically why I put this way. So black oxide, literally you paint with this color almost like a toffee. It's very long, very sticky color, but this is most powerful black we have. And I want to remind you then all these 5 colors what I already mixed, single pigments. I mean, we don't talk about, of course, like, you know, it can have other minerals, but this is just what comes to us as a pigment. And you can see how powerful that one was. So blue black is very, very fluffy. It's almost, you can't even feel on the palette knife if you have color on your palette knife or not. That's how like feather.
So the blue black is a historical mixture. So during the 19th century, artists, materials manufacturers made a color called blue black, which is again bone char and Prussian blue.
Here's our paradox. Although 5 colors before, really historical colors, they were used in history. Blue black is 19th century color, but we call that historical hues because we have in our line of colors, we have 5 historical hues, and so we will have special program about them in future, so you will see. So again, here's Casteleurs, but this time we are mixing with titanium. An idea was to show artists who paint, of course, with titanium and stay away from the lead white. So we wanted to show you the difference. And you see how very fast titanium is tinting the color.
And a lot cooler because the titanium white
Yes.
is a bluish white. So you can
Yes.
see a huge difference in the tint.
After
In terms of drying time,
Bone black is the longest time. So really, if you want to speed up drying time, so please don't choose bone black. And so now we are showing you several blacks. You have a choice. If I mean, it's no doubt we sell the most probably the bone black because people are accustomed to that color. But more and more, I definitely, when people call us, I show and talk about Roman black. It's most neutral color, very easy to use, not like it can overpower all other colors, and so that's beautiful color. So, but now you have a choice.
This vine black is actually an earth pigment, and it's called that because Pliny talked about a black earth pigment called ampelitus, which actually means vine or vineyard. And it's because they put a black earth on the vines to prevent insects. A little bit of Roman history there.
Several years George was talking about to make our own wine black. Since we live in wine country here, we have a lot of wines here. So, but we never had time to do this. Look like this year will be, we probably will have more time, and thanks to Corona we changed a lot of things in our company. It will be interesting to see how that will be different. So in terms of the drying time, so I can tell you this. So then 3 of them, natural black oxide, Roman black, and Castle Earth, drying almost the same time. Quite fast. I can tell you this. So like when I was making swatches, and they are quite thin, I will show you afterwards, but they were dry next day. Wine black will dry probably over day, maybe 2. But bone black can stay open for some time. Interesting enough, blue black has a Prussian blue which dries very fast, but in combination with bone black, it's still, I mean, it's mitigating a little bit, but it still dries quite long. So just for you to know, if you speed in your process, don't use blue black, which is beautiful color.
So all of these pigments, except for the blue black and the bone black, are earth pigments, and they do contain some iron oxide. Although there's various amounts of manganese oxide and carbon in, except in the black oxide, which is a very pure black oxide. But there's, because these are natural earths, they contain lots of different minerals, so it's hard to classify them. We generally classify them as an iron oxide if they have a large enough iron oxide content. You'll see that we don't have any pure carbon blacks here, because carbon blacks are antioxidants like lamp black, channel black, other carbon blacks, and they slow the drawing time of colors. So that's why we don't use them. I don't think they're really an important addition to the oil palette.
So of course here we could not we mix in with Olio gel just to make that color transparent, to show you the true color of that, because when it's pile you probably can't see much. So it's not like we recommend to you to do 50-50 with Olio gel.
Never, actually.
But
too much oil.
It is. But again, if you're glazing, so then Olio gel would be your help. And again, I will show you later on swatch how it's look like.
So for those of you who don't know what Olio gel is, which is one of our most popular mediums, it is pure linseed oil that's been gelled. And so it is a linseed oil, and has a nice gel consistency, specifically designed for glazing, but artists have found many different uses for it. And amazing too, just look at the difference between the lead and the titanium. It's just amazing that more artists don't understand how different white white is not white. It's a color, and it has a very definite tinting bias, as you can see in these examples here.
It's so funny how you said. So we said black is black and white is not white.
It's not white. Well, we say black is black because, as opposed to the current idea is to make your own blacks from chromatic colors, but why do that when we have some very gorgeous blacks that work so well and have really a color of their own?
Again, as always in our classes, we teach you and we tell you, so less pigments you use, better. And if we have 5 beautiful blacks, why to bother to mix 3 colors together to make it? And it came actually from, we all know, from Impressionists. And so, George, you can talk a little bit about this, the history of that.
So someone asked about how much oleo gel do you recommend mixing with paint? We actually recommend the minimum amount because, again, you're adding oil, and oil yellows. So we always recommend mixing a minimum amount of oil or oil mediums into your paint. Keep it as solid as possible. Pam Arnold asks, why would you recommend Roman black rather than black oxide?
Black oxide is very powerful. So think it's like this. So on white side we have lead white, which is warm and not as powerful. On another side we have titanium. So think about this. Roman black on one side as a very weak black color, and on the another side, the natural black oxide is very powerful. You don't need much, and it's very cool one too. So where the Roman black is neutral. So of course here we wanted to mix some kind of greens. So here would be my attempt, and we choose 3 colors again, Roman black, and here I'm putting the smallest amount. It will be, I believe, 4 piles for each color. Now a little bit more of Roman black.
So Thomas asks, can you discuss the relative properties of sinking in? We're actually in the process of measuring that, but as you know, sinking in is not just a factor of the color itself, but also the substrate you paint on. So that, and also how much solvent you use. And we actually have a course where we discuss that called glossy matte paint and everything in between. But in terms of sinking in, blacks tend to be somewhat susceptible to that, except for possibly the black oxide. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes.
You know.
Again, black oxide. That's why I mentioned that it's you almost paint like with toffee, and it's almost impossible to paint just as from the tube, and it's due to the pigment. And George refused to obviously to change the property of the pigment, and so we are going with that. But that's where you definitely need extra or oil, or of course oleo gel will help just to make it easier to mix.
So this is the cadmium
yellow light. Yes.
Somebody asked about that.
Yes, it's cadmium. On 3 cases, I used the same color, but different, obviously different. And you can see here's natural black oxide.
Christy McCarthy asks if the black oxide is similar to a Mars black, and I would say, or actually any of these blacks, and the black oxide would be very similar. The Mars black is a synthetic iron oxide.
Yes.
But black oxides vary considerably, and so some may have different casts depending on the particle size, which is a big factor in the color of iron oxides.
So here's our blue-black, and since it does have a Prussian blue, you will see how, of course, that will easy to make brighter green.
These are very nice greens when you think about
Yeah.
it. Easier with a bright yellow. And we're going to show this with an ochre, so you see what this looks like.
So I just wanted you to show how bright, beautiful colors were with cadmium yellow light, and you will see how subdued greens here. Again, we take exactly the same blacks. It's Roman black and natural black oxide and blue black.
Hi, Monique. Says hello from
Hi,
Mississippi
Monique.
Gulf.
Yes.
Someone asks which black would be what the Italian Baroque painters used. They used charcoals, wood charcoals. They used bone charcoals, like bone black. They used black earths. Black oxide wasn't readily available at the time, so probably not that. And of course, Prussian blue was not available, so they didn't have a blue-black.
You can see how small amount I'm taking, and I ruined it. That's how transparent lemon ochre is. The black oxide killed the color immediately.
Frank says hi from LA.
Hi, Frank.
Kate, thank you for the shout out on the lemon ochre. We love it too. It's a beautiful ochre because when you thin it out, it actually, and why we call it lemon ochre, is because when you thin it out, it has a bright yellow. It's quite unusual for. A lot of that has to do with the larger particle size than, let's say, some of the other ochres that we have. Tanya's adding more ochre
You see
here.
that, yeah. So you see that it's still I overpower you.
So we got a shout out from Ireland, Anna. Thank you. Christy also likes our lemon ochre.
We have a followers, that's for sure. Lemon ochre is one of the, of course, when people call us, I always say, try both Blue Ridge and lemon ochre, because lemon ochre has the biggest particles and it's very transparent, quite bright for the earth color. And Blue Ridge has a smaller particles, so then it's very opaque. So you will obviously use one or another and be in love with one or another, but definitely, this is 2 our bestsellers among.
So this is the palette. Oh, excuse me. This is the colors from the Zorn palette.
Yes.
Ken asks, have we ever experimented with antler black? No, but we have experimented with a genuine ivory from mammoths. So it is available. It's not illegal to trade in. So we're thinking about making a genuine ivory black from mammoth ivory.
That's Dream Sweat.
And Chris Dawson
George
from Bermuda.
Thank you. Oh yeah, hi Chris. So George was dreaming about this long time to make a production, and so we never had time. Now sitting home whole year, which is almost crazy for us. I can't even remember when we did that. So here in this case, we took Blue Ridge yellow ochre. It's not lemon ochre in this case, because on our website we sell as the new Zorn palette. it would be lead white, blue rich yellow ochre, and cadmium red light.
Francisco says hi from Shanghai.
Oh,
Hey, how you doing?
okay.
I haven't
What
heard from you
time
in a
is
while.
there?
Very early morning.
Thank you guys being with us.
Herb says he needs mammoth in his paint.
Okay.
Anthony, yes, there are mammoth tusks in Siberia just laying around. So you can see the colors you can make just with these four. Beautiful, actually. Quite a range of things. This is going to be very interesting with the cadmium.
It's very powerful. So you saw that I even add more black because red immediately killed the black, which is almost, crazy to say that.
So in terms of the most transparent black,
Yes.
which would you say, Tanya?
Transparent black? That is Roman black, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And Kathy asks, are we using lead white in all these mixtures? In this,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
But in the first set, we used titanium and lead white. So you can get to see difference from, oh, there we go.
So are we back?
We're back.
Okay, great. So now I will show you all the swatches we were doing, and I'm shivering a little bit, so just don't pay attention my shaky hands. So George, let's switch cameras from, okay, so here I will start with our first set we did. So here is with lead white mixes. And you can see the color, how it's different. And here's with titanium. And you can see how, look at this Roman black here and Roman black here. See how
So on the left side is
transparent.
titanium. Oh, excuse me, lead white.
Yes,
And
this
the-
is
and
lead
the-
white and this is titanium.
Right.
So, and the question was what was the most transparent, and that will give you indication because you see how
much it tints
fast
out.
it's, yes.
Yeah.
And of course you can see this really obvious with titanium, the blue. They work together perfect, the Prussian blue and titanium. And here with Olio gel, and you can see how, you see how, look at this, and you can just compare to that. It feels like it's completely different color. So this is just with Olio gel, just to make it transparent. So that's
So that was that first set of colors
First
that we
set.
showed.
yes.
Yes.
And so I don't know if I just wanted to show undertone here, and it's not much pretty here, but what I wanted to show you, this is the Zorn palette. So that's how mixing with lead white. Here is blue rich yellow ochre, and here is cadmium red light.
So again, Chris, that first he asked, are those swatches mixed with lead white, number 1 or 2? It's all
Number
lead
one.
white. Number
It's
one.
always number one. We again remember number 1 and number 2 as a look will not be the difference. So you can do you want to change to me or so it will not make much difference, but it's always about behavior. So that's why it doesn't make any sense for us to mix with lead white number 2 because it will dry longer because it's with walnut oil. So usually on our tests, we don't use that one just for that reason, longer drying.
So Jose asks, how does the particle size affect the properties? Is bigger particle more transparent or the other way around?
Yes, It's correct. Bigger particles, more transparent.
Right.
That's why black oxide is very very opaque, because the Mars black or natural Mars black, natural black oxide, so has a smaller particles. That's why it's very 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 dark and opaque.
That, and also because it is a more concentrated.
Yes.
More concentrated form of iron oxide. The other minerals, because they're natural again, they have clay naturally as they come out of the earth. Clay. They may have calcium carbonate, calcium sulfate are typically found, especially Italy, where most of these blacks come from.
Is there anything else I can show?
Henry asks, which has the best semi-gloss dried quality straight from the tube?
Semi-gloss, again, so probably would be natural black oxide. All other colors will be quite, I can't say matte, but just because they have bigger particles, so they will look different. Black oxide will be shiny. So if you don't like shiny, so you need to cut with whatever, you know, maybe add a little bit chalk, which will make a little bit transparent on one hand, and then another will not be as glossy.
Also keep in mind that the smaller the particle size, the glossier the paint tends to be, because the surface is smoother. So you have large particle size, you're going to have a rougher surface, which results in a diffuse reflection or matte. For those who are asking about if this video is going to remain here on Facebook as well as YouTube. So where you're seeing it, you can just look at the videos in Natural Pigments and see those.
I want to remind you guys, tomorrow will be oiling out session, and so it will be available only at that time on Facebook, anywhere else, and it right after when we finish, it will not be available online unless, I mean, it will be on Painting Best Practices, and it will be paid session, because you cannot believe how much time George spent for that session, and especially he did this in combined with another artist, so which he will talk tomorrow about that.
Also keep in mind that tomorrow it's more about the historical oiling out, and then we'll get into modern day practices of that. Several people have asked about, can we get samples of these? We're working on oil color charts, but we don't have any test samples like this. That's why we're doing it on video, so you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on.
And what I can see, the colors quite true. I don't see much in between what's maybe like a little bit more yellow in this case, and it's more greenish here, and maybe a little bit bluish here than in reality. This is quite correct colors.
And tomorrow that oiling out is at 10 a.m. Same time, same channel, actually. So just some people are asking about the labels on what we're looking at here. Tanya, maybe you can run through that again.
Yes. So what is here? Is that what? Okay. So here's bone black with lead white, and it's just different amounts with very small amount, and then all the way to where small amount black here. So here's bone black with blue rich yellow ochre, and again we start just increasing the yellow to the black. And it's our Zorn palette. It's a new Zorn palette, because again, I know, guys, we lost vermilion and you all crying, and I'm so sorry. We are trying our best to find again that color. So, and this is cadmium red light, and again with bone black, and so increasing the red here. So that's what is here.
Also, it was asked, are all these blacks sold in a bundle?
No, absolutely not. We don't sell bundles because it doesn't make any sense to sell the bundles because some of you don't need certain colors, and so that's why we have this right now. So every month we have, you know, the information about range of colors. Then you have choice. So we don't want to sell you something what you don't want. That's for sure.
Kate asks, can we purchase blank test cards to make our own samples?
Absolutely.
These-
Actually, it's great idea, and George, we
Yeah.
probably should do that.
Yeah.
So, Kate, thank you very much for that that
Idea?
suggestion. So I absolutely, yes, it's great idea. We
So
can do
these
that.
these are what they call Lanetta cards. There's another company that also makes them, but they're used in the paint industry to test for opacity mostly.
I'm so glad then so many artists excited about their testing, and so because you know, several years we are talking about in our classes about please test every color you have, just for your protection.
Nancy asks, how does chromatic black compare to any of these blacks? Well, that really depends on how you mix your chromatic black. So with a chromatic black, of course, you can run the full gamut of tints and colors and so forth, and that's why some people make a chromatic black. But we actually like the versatility of these blacks,
And remember, again, many of you already went through our classes. I recognize the names. And so remember, we always talk about less pigments you use on your painting, better you in future be. So because it's chemicals. Think about this as the chemicals. And so more chemical soup you making on your palette, more disaster happening, and so then you call us and asking what happened. I mix one color from one company, another color from another company. I love these colors, but I can't live without. But you don't read the labels, and when on label said 2, 3, sometimes 4 pigments, and then you are on top of that making your chromatic black from that. Whew.
Henry asks about Gamblin chromatic black. Well, actually, we don't know what pigments they use
Ask
in their
Gambling
chromatic black.
what they put there.
Yeah, we don't know, but you can look on the label. It should be there.
Yes.
And,
That's it. Are we?
do we have any more questions? So Kate asks that she's going to make her own putties, which is great. That's fantastic. And Kate, when you're doing that, try other things such as talc, nepheline cyanide, wollastonite.
Try wollastonite. So,
Wollastonite, yes,
woo,
yes.
that is fun
There's
one.
really a whole world out there. You just using simple calcium carbonate is fine, of course, but there's a whole world of other things too out there. That's always fantastic.
Is that my Kate Stone?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kathy says the Zorn, referencing the Zorn palette, it proves that no one needs a lot of colors. That's true.
Yes. Yes.
And it's actually a lot easier to manage colors with fewer primary pigments on your palette, or not primary, but excuse me, basic pigments on your palette. Again, for those interested in the historical review of sinking in and oiling out, it'll be here at the same place on Facebook as well as YouTube. Tomorrow at the same time, same channel.
And reminder for next month, we have on April 14th, we have Ceracolors, unknown Ceracolors, and on April 21st, I believe, that would be fat over lean. George will talk about this idea, what hunting artist for years now.
Yeah, we agree with you, Hillary. It's blacks are very versatile, and a lot of teachers tell you to put them away, but we disagree. We think that it's an important part of any palette. Kathy asks what blacks are used in the second row. That's actually all of the blacks.
All
that
of
we've
them.
showed
So
yeah.
I can just tell you.
Just repeated.
So, like I that's how I will put right like this. So let me like this. So that is Castle Earth. No, not like this. Lead white first. Let's do that. So Castle Earth with lead white, titanium, and Olio gel. Here's Roman black. Here's German wine black. Here's bone black. Here's natural black oxide. And here's blue black. Again, here's with lead white, titanium, and Olio gel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin gave us the ingredients to the chromatic black. It's quinacridone red
Okay.
and phthalo green. All right, there we know. Now we know.
And if you ever will try to make your own quinacridone from scratch or phthalo, you be surprised, and so you probably never will repeat that again because it is very difficult colors to mix because the particle size are so small. And I had this attempt other week with quinacridone, and I could not clean my glass plate. So that's done. That's look like every always will be just for reds. So same as phthalos, and so that's obviously you can't put just these two colors together, so they will kill everything around. It's definitely needed. Again, we were talking about fillers, so fillers is good in this case because otherwise it will just kill everything around.
Frank asks, I've read that Velasquez used bone brown. Is that the same pigment as bone black? Likely so, but by varying the particle size, you see, that's what's very interesting. When you vary the particle size, you get a wider range of possible colors. But since modern pigment manufacture just gives us basically one size, we're not aware of this. I don't think it was an ivory black because in our experience, at least with mammoth ivory blacks tend to be a little bit more bluish. But again, that could vary depending on, on the particle size. That has a huge, very, very big effect on color.
Are we done?
Linda asks, can you show the chart with the cad yellow light again and the three blacks? Do we have that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have that one.
Let's pull that out.
Yes. So here I have with okay, let's do correct. And you see my okay, 1 second. Let's clean up here. And you see how I messed up here because I thought it's a week later. I thought it's dried out, and it was not. And now it's dried. Okay, so it's so cadmium yellow light with Roman black, and that's the range you can make it. Here's black oxide with cadmium yellow light, and that's the range. And again, we started with smaller amount and all the way to more black. And here's my messed up cadmium yellow light with blue black. And I of course I have the
Gord McDonald from Canada has quite a number of our pigments, thanks. And for your suggestion, mixing umber with phthalos helps them play well. Appreciate any suggestions there. Henry asks, is Natural Pigments hiring by any chance? And in fact, we just hired a new shipping person.
We are growing. We so busy. So this year we actually had 3 new employees. So we are so happy with that. So this is Linda. This is with lemon ochre. That's what we were showing. So again, Roman black, blue rich. Lemon with black oxide, and here's lemon with blue black.
Yeah, Linda, it's true. They're very beautiful greens. It's amazing, you know,
Amazing
how
with
black
blacks,
can
yes.
make that. You take a bright yellow,
Yeah.
like cadmium yellow or
Yeah.
other bright yellows, and you
Beautiful
can make
greens.
beautiful
Yeah.
greens. And the browns are very interesting from the ochres too. So that warms it up quite, or cools it down, depending on how much of the ochre's there.
Yeah.
As you can see, some of the on that. It's that blue black especially. It's
Yeah.
really. Anybody want to see something else or that we have done here, or any questions about the blacks? Again, we love blacks. We love the color. It's very versatile. You don't have to. You can ignore what some of the teachers say to put it away because it's a great color. You know, it's just mixing black actually came out of Impressionism. So because their black didn't make sense on their palette because they have high key colors. Kevin suggests the Zorn palette would be more useful for landscape using the blue black. Sure. Yeah, the Zorn palette is not a fixed, and again, it wasn't the only color Anders Zorn used, of course, but it's the idea. It's the concept of a limited palette that is very attractive. Not that he actually used that all the time, because he actually didn't. He used cobalts in as was common at that time period. Again, for those asking about the oiling out, it's not a demo. It is a historical lecture that I'm giving about the abuses from the 17th through 19th century. That's just the first part. We will do a second part, I think, in May, and where we're going to get more into a demonstration mode, I guess. But it's kind of hard to demonstrate sinking in and oiling out, but we'll try that. Yeah, Frank says, yes, strong bias against using black in college academic settings. That's true. That's what we've seen too. Leah asked, do you suggest reducing chroma using blacks? Yes, it's one way to do that, and was typical of old master paintings. And Christopher asks, can you show the red mixes again? That's with the Zorn palette. There it is, right in the center. Frank asks, can you talk about using grays to reduce chroma and temperature in flesh tones? Ooh, I think that's a very good use of black is in flesh tones to modulate the temperature from cool to warm, and also to kind of neutralize some of the colors, especially if you're using bright colors in flesh tones, then you certainly want to tone it down. But using more neutral colors like ochres, like in the red and yellow and the browns in flesh tones also makes a lot of sense. Using a bright color as a key color to brighten it up is also great. And Kathy asks, any chance you can rebroadcast oiling out? The oiling out, we may do that. The oiling out is part of a course. What we're doing is we're giving everybody first look at these courses that we have on paintingbestpractices.com. And again, if you're very interested in the courses that we're building there, we've got a whole webinar, very in-depth. We'll have more and more courses, and we're giving people a first look at each course in these broadcasts. But the idea is to help us build the paintingbestpractice.com.
And again, those of you who already went through our workshops, and you know how I mean the amount of information we put on that workshops, and so we noticed through years that people come to classes, they're excited, but just because it's so much information in 3 days, so a lot of information just going away. So at this finally after 7 years. And so we promised that last 2 years we were really promising then we will make that, and so it never happened because George and I we travel so much, and so now because of the corona we finally did it, and it's unbelievable because this is the whoever already went through that class. You remember every time as we start the class I saying then George put more information. So in this online classes, not only he put more information, but he put now in slides, in cartoons, so then it's easy to understand, and you can sit as long as you want on every lesson. So that is big plus, because before I always would tell you like just write everything what George is saying, write, make a notes, and so if you forget something we will remind you. Now you have opportunity sitting at home learning how long you want, and so that's great, and so we are so proud of that. And although we miss you, and since we now on our second shot of the vaccine, so we will suffer through today, and hopefully tomorrow George on his session will be much better than today. So then we definitely looking for to go back to you and have one-to-one classes, and so then we already started scheduling again, because we as much as I was crying before, so we tired to travel, but now we miss you for sure, so we want to go back to you. So then we will have these classes, they will not be the same anymore because now we have this online class. Guys, thank you very much. It was pleasure as always to be with you, and so thank you for spending an hour of your life with us today, and see you tomorrow.